Hi guys, this is 7.5, so we are back a day. So yesterday you did your perfect square trinomials and your difference of squares. So that was, we have learned, I think that's like our fourth, fifth type of method of grouping. This is one more, ax squared plus bx plus c. This should look very familiar. Here is the big difference from what you did before to what you're doing now, is this number right here. So before, what you factored is you did something like x squared plus 7x plus 10. And when there is nothing right here, it's a super easy problem. What multiplies to 10 adds up to 7, x plus 2 and x plus 5. When we put a number right here, it gets a little bit more complicated and we have a little bit more work to do. So there are many of you that are going to ignore what I just said. The only time you have to go the long way is when there is a number right here. You could always go the long way, even when there's not a number there, you'll still get the right answer. You're just going to take twice as long as on your test, and you're going to work a lot longer. So when there's not a number there, do what you did the last couple days, very fast, very easy. If there's a number right here, we got to work really hard. Okay? So, if we do something like this, so 3x plus 2 times 2x plus 5, that is when we get this number right here. But what we should notice, this first number is always these two multiplied together, 3 times 2, and this last number is always these two last multiplied together, 2 times 5. The middle then, we have to try to figure out. We have to multiply it out and add it up and see what happens. But if we wanted to, if I gave you this right here, we could just guess and check the different combinations that give me a 6 up front and a 10 out back and see what works. And this is how Mr. Basher will have you do it in his class. And believe it or not, after you do this long enough, you'll get really fast at it. So let's show you how this will work. So what we need two numbers right here that multiply to give us 6, and two numbers right here that multiply to give us that 4. So we need to get this 6 and this 4. Now, if the first number is just like a 2 and the last number is 3, it's really easy because there's only one combination that works. But when you start to get into bigger numbers like 6 and 12 and 18, there's lots of combinations and you could be guessing and checking for a while. So let's try a combination. Oh, I don't know why this started down there, but we'll fill these all in. So we'll try one combination. Maybe this is a 1 and this is a 6. That would multiply to give us 6, and this would multiply to give us 4. Well, if we FOIL this out, we would get the 6x squared. So we would get 6x squared, we would get a 4x, we would get a 6x, and we would get a 4. That gives me 10 in the middle. That does not give me 11, so this combination doesn't work. By the way, if you can hear my dog sitting next to me, that's the huffing and puffing and the rattle of the chain. So we try another combination. We can still leave the 1 times 6, but maybe we flip the 1 and the 4 around here to get 4. If I do that, this is still going to give me the 6x squared. That middle term would give me a 1x, and this would give me a 24x. That does not work. So maybe I leave the 6 the same, and maybe I do 2 times 2 instead. Well, that's going to give me a 2x and a 12x, which equals 14, so that didn't work. So you could see we could be here a while, guessing and checking until we find the right combination. And this is the right combination that happens to work. This gives me the 6x squared. That gives me 8. That gives me 3. 8 plus 3 is the 11x I was looking for. So not hard, but it just can be time consuming and sort of annoying. So I'm going to give you a different method that sort of cuts right to the chase. You make sure you're right every single time and you don't have to guess and check and guess and check. But this is a backup plan. You should know where it comes from, and you should be able to find different combinations that multiply to 6 or multiply to 4. So let's try this one by the method I'm going to show you. So we're going to start with making our x like we did before. But the difference is that now, because of this number right here, that top number is going to be 6 times 3. So we're going to do what multiplies to 18 and what adds up to 11. So you can write that in your notes. You can write it however you want. You can write, so pause the video and write that down however you want. Make an X, but the top number is the first times the third term, or however it makes sense to you. So the 6 times the 3, the bottom number is still the middle term. Okay? So we're going to do what multiplies to 18, what adds up to 11. So you can think of that. That's going to be 9 and 2. Okay? This is step number 1. After you get that 9 and 2, here's step number 2. You're going to take this and you're going to plug it back into the middle of this problem. Because 9 plus 2 equals 11. So it doesn't matter if we swap that out. Okay? So the first term is still going to be the 6x squared. The last term is still going to be the 3. But the middle, we're going to take the middle out and we're going to replace it with 9 plus 2. Doesn't matter if you do 2 plus 9 or 9 plus 2, you'll get the same thing. So they're both positive, so I'm going to do plus 9x and I'm going to do plus 2x. And you have to make sure that they have an x with it, because 9x plus 2x gives me the 11x. So write that in your notes, however you want, right? Draw some arrows and do it however you want in your notes, but replace the middle term. And I would say replace the middle term with whatever you get in your x. Okay? After you do that, you are going to just go back to factor by grouping. Because how many terms does this have? This has 4 terms now, and when we see 4 terms, our brains are going to say grouping. So now we factor this by grouping. So I'm going to clump the first 2, I'm going to clump the last 2. I can take a 3x out of that, and I have a 2x plus 3 left behind. There's nothing I can take out of here, so I'm going to take a positive 1 out, and I have a 2x plus 3 left behind. So I'm going to pull out the 2x plus 3, and I have a 3x plus 1 left behind. Now, as always, how do I check my answer? I can multiply it back out. That gives me the 6x squared. This gives me the 2x. This gives me the 9x. This gives me the 3. And 6x squared plus 11x plus 3 is the original problem. Okay, so write those in your notes, and let's practice a few. And here we go. So, this method is just a little bit more annoying because normally our numbers get bigger. So we might have to work a little bit harder to figure out what multiplies and what works. So let's try the first one here. So we're going to do what multiplies to 42 and adds up to 17. Let's see. It's not 21 times 2. This 3 go into there. Yes, it does. It goes in 14 times. So it's going to be 3 times 14. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to put it back into the middle. 2x squared plus 3x plus 14x, because this is the exact same thing, so I can just swap it out. The rest of the problem stays the exact same. The 2x squared stays the same, the 21 stays the same. Clump the first 2, clump the last 2. I can take out an x, and I have a 2x plus 3 left behind. I can take out a 7, and I have a 2x plus 3 left behind. And that will give me 2x plus 3. And x plus 7. Okay, I'm not going to do all of these. Let's do some with some negatives in it. Let's try this one down here. So I'm going to do what multiplies to negative 12 and what adds to minus 1. So what multiplies to negative 12 and adds to minus 1? It's going to be minus 4 plus 3. So take those, swap them out for right there. I have a 4n squared minus 4n plus 3n minus 3. And take out a 4n, and I have an n minus 1 left. Take out 3, and an n minus 1 left. So I pull out the n minus 1, and you have a 4n plus 3 left. I think that's all we'll try for now, because we're going to do a couple more on the next screen. So hopefully this is pretty straightforward once you realize what you're doing right here. It's just grouping over and over and over again. Big note here, if the leading coefficient is negative, take the negative 1 out. You'll be much, much, much better off. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So all of these start with a negative, and that's going to thoroughly confuse us if we don't get rid of it. So let's just take it out before we even start. So for example, we'll do this one down here. I'm going to take a negative 1 out. If I take a negative 1 out, that's going to leave me with a 6x squared, a positive 17x, and a positive 12. Now I'm going to factor this problem right here. So now if I factor that problem there, I have to do what multiplies to 72, and what adds up to 17. 9 times 8. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to put them in the middle there. Actually, I'm going to put them in the middle there. So I have 6x squared plus 9x plus 8x plus 12. So I'm going to go back to this problem right here. So I have the 6x squared and I have the plus 12. I swapped out the middle. Bump the first two, bump the last two, take out a 3x. And I have a 2 plus 2x plus 3 left behind. Take out a 4. And I have a 2x plus 3 left behind. Take out your 2x plus 3. I'm left with 3x plus 4. And now here's the one last thing you have to remember. This didn't go away. So we still have to take this and put it out front. So I'm still going to have a negative 1 that I have to put on at the end. But it will make your life much, 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 much easier if you take it out first and then just tack it on at the end when you're done. So I think that should do it. Feel free to watch the video a couple more times and look at the examples. And have a good day.